Hey, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel. So, I'm going to do an overview of the Effigies series. Eventually, I'm going to do a book review on each individual one, but this video is just for all three of them as a whole, with the stories about this and that. Okay. I'm going to start off by telling you the synopsis of each book. This is Fate of the Flames. Technically, this was what I'd always wanted, to fight like one of them, to save lives like one of them, and now I was one of them, an effigy. Careful what you wish for, I guess. That's all. Summaries are usually longer than that, but not this one. Siege of Shadows, this is what it looks like. I could see the phantoms twitching and twisting in the desert wind, their long, serpent-like tails floating behind them. The second we were out of this protective bubble, we'd be on our own. Survive or get eaten. We have to be fast. We'd have to fight. The phantoms' cries pierced the sky. They were ready. So were we. And then now is Legacy of Light. Links in a chain, a dangerous game. That's all it says. Wow. Do a little better on your summaries. Oh wait, no, there's summaries inside it. Never mind. Okay, so we're gonna try this again. Fate of Flames. Years ago, everything changed. Phantom's massive beast of nightmare began terrorizing the world. At the same time, 4 girls, the Effigies, appeared, each with the unique power to control a classical element. Since then, they had protected the world from the phantoms. As the death of one effigy, another is chosen, pulled from her normal life into a never-ending battle. When Maya unexpectedly becomes the next fire effigy, she resists her new calling. A quiet girl with a few friends and almost no family, she was much happier to admire the effigies from afar. Never did she imagine having to master her ability to control fire, to protect innocent citizens from the phantoms, or to try bringing together the other 3 effigies. But with the arrival of the mysterious Saul, a man who seems to be able to control the phantoms using the same cosmic power previously only granted to 4 girls at a time, Maya and the other effigies must learn to work together in a world where their celebrity is more important than their heroism. But the secrets Saul has and the power he possesses might be more than even they can handle. Siege of Shadows. There's nowhere to hide, not when you're an effigy. No matter where they go, Maya and the other effigies can't escape the eyes of the press, especially not after failing to capture Saul, whose power to control the monstrous phantoms has left the world in a state of panic. It's been 2 months since Saul's disappearance, and there's still no sign of him, leaving the public to wonder whether the sect and the effigies are capable of protecting anyone. When Saul suddenly surfaces in the middle of the Sahara Desert, the sect sends Maya and her friends out after him. But instead of Saul, they discover a dying soldier engineered with effigy-like abilities. Even worse, there may be more soldiers like him out there, and it looks as if the effigies are their prime targets. Yet the looming danger of the Saul and this mysterious new army doesn't overshadow Maya's fear of the sect, who ordered the death of previous fire effigy Natalia. With enemies on all sides and the world turning against them, the effigies have to put their trust in each other. Easier said than done, with secrets threatening to tear them apart. Legacy of Light. The world is in chaos. After Saul's strike on Oslo, one seemingly led by Maya herself, the effigy's reputation is in shambles. Now they are being hunted by nations across the globe, grouped in with the very terrorists they've been trying to stop. With Maya's resurrected twin, June, carrying out vicious attacks across the world, everyone believes Maya is a killer. Belle has gone rogue. Sharon and Lake have disappeared, and the sect is being dismantled and replaced by a terrifying new world order helmed by Blackwell. As for Saul, his ultimate plan still remains a mystery. And Maya? No one has seen or heard from her in weeks. It's all somehow connected. Saul, phantoms, the effigies, everything. But if the effigies can't put the pieces together soon, there may not be much left of the world they fought so desperately to save. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? If you're a fantasy lover, you're going to love this. This is my 4th favorite series in the world so far, but even if I do end up having new favorites, this is still going to be up on my list because I absolutely love it. So, if you know me, I've never been one much to really gaze at a cover, but lately all these like book tags and whatnot are like, what's your favorite cover? Cover this, cover that. And I'm like, I've never really paid much attention to the covers. I mean, if the covers seem fantasy-like, how I pick out my book is first the title makes me stop. Then I look at the cover for a split second, literally a split second, and then I turn to the summary. The summary is ultimately what makes me decide to get it. I've never bought a book based off the cover before, ever. But then I started actually looking at my book covers, like actually seeing them for what feels like first time, because of all these tags that's about book covers. You know, what's your favorite cover? What's the book you've bought because of the cover? I actually started looking at some of my book covers, and I realized how pretty the Effigies Trilogy is in covers. I'm still not gonna let covers determine whether I buy a book or not. I want it to be solely based on if I think I like it by the summary, but then I might gaze at the cover after I decide if I like it or not. This one is really pretty. It's not my favorite out of 3 though. This one's even more pretty. I don't know, I like the burning and the ash coming out like that. But this one is definitely my favorite. See all the colors? See how pretty it is? The symbol, well, they all have a symbol. The colors, it's like purple, blue, and then down here is kind of there's some white and some light blues, and it's gorgeous, and I never really realized how gorgeous it was until recently. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I not notice how pretty this is? But yeah, this is not about cover, so let's move on from that subject. So basically the books follow Maya. She's the main character, obviously, since which you probably got from all the summaries. But when the book starts, this is not a big spoiler because it's literally mentioned like at the very beginning, and it talks about how Maya lives with her uncle, because her uncle Nathan, that's his name, because her twin sister and her parents died in a house fire, and Maya survived. You find out later on that she survived, or how she survived, but she lives a normal life, school and stuff. She's like 15, 16, somewhere around there. And then she discovers she was the next fire SG. She hasn't told anyone yet, she's kept it a secret, and she's hoping no one finds her, because the thought of actually going out fighting these phantoms was terrifying, even though she, you know, as a civilian who just watches them, think, oh my gosh, that's so cool, I wish I could do that. But finding out that you can do it, that you have to do it, that it's not your life, and that there's not a lot of people survive long in this kind of line of, then it becomes terrifying. Especially since she's lost so much, and she saw her uncle has, considering he lost his brother, his sister-in-law, I think it was his brother and sister-in-law, and then his other niece, and he's not married or has any kids of his own, so Maya's all he has, you know, and he's all she has. But she ends up going to this function or something with her uncle where she meets Saul. At first, when I was reading this for the very first time, I was like, ooh, they have a connection, they're gonna get together. I could not be more wrong. He turned out to be the bad guy. But I'm glad they did get together because I'm obsessed with this ship on here. There's really one main ship. I mean, the other girls didn't really date. I mean, in the third book, Lake was dating someone, but I never really got into their relationship, probably because it followed Maya, so it got into her relationship with Aiden Rise, but that's about it. But Aiden's such a sweetheart, and I feel so bad for him because he went through a lot. He does not get along with his father or mother. But anyways, at this function, he meets Aiden, who knows she's the next fire effigy, and she runs away from him at first, so he has to catch her and then bring her to other sect agents, and Belle, who's the water effigy. And she's mean. I don't like Belle. I do not like Belle at all. She was mean to Maya because she was really close to the last fire effigy and was still torn apart that she died. Honestly, I think she was in love with her, but it never clarifies that. But by Belle's grief, it seems like a lot more than just a mentor, because she always said she was her mentor, she taught her everything she knows, but it's a lot more than that. So she has to go with them to the sect, and she has to do this, what is it called? It's like orientation thing, and then she meets the other effigies eventually. Bella went to go find Lake, and because there's this big thread which was Saul, so they all have to get the effigies together, because usually the effigies are around the world defending the entire world. You know, they hardly ever actually work together, so they don't really know each other. I mean, I don't think Bella's ever met Lake or Chayrin. Her mind just slipped out of my mind for a minute there. So Bella went to find Lake, while Maya and Aiden went to find Chayrin. She was working at the circus thing, and that's where they meet Fastly, who's a part of the good guys. Sorry, I said that, but I don't like Fastly either. But he even cuts off a man's finger to get the ring. He's not a good guy. But heck, a lot of these sect agents aren't. I mean, there are still some that's working for the good cause, but not all of them. But yeah, so, and then an effigy can also talk to past effigies. What do they call it? I forgot. I think they call it scrying. If you scry, you can concentrate and go call other effigies, because when an effigy died, they don't move on. They're like stuck in this place, and it's like being reborn. They don't go to the next place because they're reborn into the next effigy. And she can talk to all the effigies, and she even can see the memories and stuff, but the latest one is the easiest. Like, the further down you go is the hardest to try and contact. But eventually she has to try and contact the last effigy, because the first effigy, I mean, because that's who Saul wants. Saul's immortal, and he was in love with the first fire effigy, and he wants her back, and so he's trying to get her to take over Maya's body, which I think that actually happens temporarily. I want to say it's in the second book, but she gets her body back. She fights for her. But yeah, so and she meets Blackwell, which is part of the bad guys, you find out, and her and Aiden are so adorable. I mean they, you know, it's a weird meeting, because like when Suchi met him, she knew he knew who she was. She figured out who he was, and she got scared because she didn't want to be an effigy, so she ran. And then he caught her, so they didn't really have a good time to talk at first. She did apologize for running. He's like, don't worry about it, you know. But then I think the first moment that it showed that, because I guess since he was the first person she met in this effigy business, she trusted him more than anyone else. And I think the first moment you could tell there's something between them was after her orientation. She was forced to leave whatever place she was in to go to the orientation, and then when she saw Fastly again, because by then she already gone Chayrin, so she had already met Fastly, and then she saw Blackwell again. Oh no, I don't think she saw Fastly until she left the building. I don't remember. Actually, he might have been in the building. I don't know. But it kind of scared her because he was scary. He was like suspicious and whatnot, dark and mysterious. But then when she leaves, it's raining, and she sees Aiden. Well, for the longest time they called him Rise, but she started calling him Aiden because they got close. But he was standing outside of a limo with an umbrella, and he walked up to her to share the umbrella so she wouldn't get wet. It was really sweet and adorable, and she was so, and since it pointed for few, she was like, she explains how happy she was to see him after a long day, and it's just so sweet. That was the first moment you really knew there was something between them, and I love it. It's probably one of my favorite moments between them. But there's a lot of adorable moments between them. So yeah. It's like, but later on it gets difficult because it's like she trusts him and cares about him, but at the same time he starts acting suspicious, and she's worried that she's falling for someone who might not be the person she thought he was, which she discovers in book 2, his secrets, and protects it and helps him. Oh, there's another scene that I absolutely love between the two of them. I can't wait to talk about that one. I'll get to that in a minute. So that moment might actually be my second, because I think the moment I'm going to talk to you about in a minute is, yeah, that one's definitely my first. So by this point they already care about each other and are falling for each other. While Maya is training to be a fire effigy, Lake, Che-Rin, and Bella are always all taking turns training her in different aspects. I think Bella's teaching her how to scry, and then Che-Rin is, I like Che-Rin, but she has an odd method because she's Che-Rin. But yeah, I don't remember what happened at the end of the book though, because I don't think she found out his secret in the first book. Did she? Because she found out that Che-Rin was killed, and that she saw a memory of someone choking her. But does she find out who in this book or next book? Because I know she kept it a secret. I want to say it's next book though. But they had a battle with Saul at the end. They were on a train. And there's this one guy that was like, what's that thing where it's like you have two personalities? I forgot what it's called, but that's him. One of his personalities was good, one wasn't. Oh, it was Saul. Saul had that. Because sometimes he was Nick, who was good, and wanted to help, but he couldn't because Saul was more powerful than him. Okay, so in the second book, you see a little bit more about Aiden, because he doesn't get along with his parents and or his brother, and Maya meets them and sees the tension in the room. But by then Saul has disappeared for, how long did it say? Because it said in the summary. I thought it said in summary, because I don't see it now. Was it? I swore it said in the summary how long he had disappeared. Okay, 2 months since Saul's disappearance. Yeah, I thought it said so. So it's been 2 months. They're still fighting. They sometimes their free time, I guess you could say, they're looking into Saul, but during their main time they have to defeat other phantoms to save the world and stuff, and that's kind of how it starts off too, was them fighting. But in this book, Maya finds out that Aiden was one that killed Natalia, but he didn't want to, he was forced to. You know, with the sect, he grew up in the sect, and they basically control him, and he didn't have a choice. And he feels terrible about it, and he's miserable because he wants out, and he can't get out, especially not now. But Maya finds out and keeps the secret. Obviously, because she cares about him. But she didn't trust him anymore, finding that out, because she didn't know the whole story. She just knew what she saw from Natalia, which was that he was the one that killed her. They were on the run for a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly. Well, I don't think they were on the run, but they were out doing something, like something the sect told them to do, because they're not on the run yet at this point. But Maya runs into Aiden, and she freaks out because she thinks he's a killer, and she yells at him, and she's like, "You're a killer, I don't want anything to do with you. Go away, you're not who I thought you were, I trusted you, I cared for you, blah blah blah." And this is my favorite scene I was telling you about with the two of them at least. And Aiden was crying, he was like, "Please, I love you." And she was like, "What?" It was so sweet. I wonder if I could find it. Probably not. I pulled up to a scene with the two of them. A cute scene, but I don't think it's the scene I'm looking for. Because I don't think it's this early on. I thought it was a little further away, but I might be wrong. Oh yeah, this is before she found out. I guess it was closer to the end when she found out. When she confronted him. Or actually, it might be the third book when they reunite. Wait, no, it can't be the third book because something happens to him at the end of this book. Okay, never mind. But this was, so it says, "This was the rise," because at this point she called him Rise, which was his last name. "This was the Rise I'd come to know. Even with all the questions and mysteries, even with the ever-present fear of what he could be, this was the Rise that made my pulse quicken. And I, the girl who barely had friends or family, the girl who'd never known how it felt to have someone like him, beautiful and strong, look at her with this deep gaze, and had no idea how to resolve the worrying impulse in me. Should I feel for him or not? Should I believe Natalia or not?" Oh yeah, because she ever talked to Natalia, said not to trust him. But she wanted to trust Rise, and Natalia got mad at her for. Natalia tried to take over her body. That's who tried to take over her body. It wasn't the first fire refugee, it was Natalia. Okay. Because she wanted to live. This was when Vasily had. Okay, I remember this scene because this scene was cute. Vasily had attacked Maya and he saved her, or tried to help. But yeah. I probably won't be able to find the scene I'm looking for, but it was just so sweet. He blurted out that he loved her, and then she was still conflicted, but obviously she does forgive him because it's Aiden, you know. But they're so cute. I love them. I'm in love with them. So yeah, Saul comes back and they have to fight him again. And then at the end of the book, which if you listen to what I said in the third summary, it said, what did it say? With Maya's resurrected twin, June. So that was kind of a spoiler, but at the end of this book, there was a couple twists. One of Aiden dying. He didn't really, but. And June being alive, and everyone thinks that's Maya, and when she killed someone, they thought it was her, and the entire world found out about, Aiden killing Natalia. And then at the end, Lake and Chagrin went one way because they all had to hide it, because the world thinks effigies are evil now. So Belle and Maya went another way, and Belle confronted Maya about knowing the truth that Aiden killed Natalia. And I think it was funny when everyone saw Jude on the screen, because the entire world thinks it's Maya. No one knows she has a secret twin. And then when everyone sees her, they all look at Maya, and Maya's looking like, "That's not possible, she died." But that was funny, or sad, or who knows. There's just mixed emotions in that one. But I lost what I was saying now. But yeah, she's alive. Everyone thinks Aiden's dead, and Belle confronts Maya about it. And when Maya's like, let's just say it doesn't end well. Don't want to give off too many spoilers in this video, not until I get to my actual review. So, the beginning of this one actually starts off kind of slow because Maya's hurt. Actually, this might be the one where they reunite. Oh wait, no. No, she confronted him in that one, because in this one when they reunite, he Rise reunites, he's being controlled with some mind chip or whatever, so he attacks her. She doesn't understand what's going on, and Lake has to save her. And they don't have to just fight Saul in this one. They have to fight Blackwell, head of the sect, and Vasily, I believe, too, because I think he's working with Blackwell. And then Maya ends up seeing June, tries to convince her that what they're doing is wrong, and she is still a good person. She just truly believes that what they're doing is right, because Saul made her all these promises. Yeah, we're gonna do this. Yeah, we're gonna do that. So yeah. So that confrontation didn't go out well. But I don't want to spoil too much, because this isn't like a spoily review. This is just kind of an insight about what the series is about. I'm going to try not to spoil the third one as much, but I'll tell you, Saul is defeated, which you probably figured out. So was Blackwell and Vasily. Maya and June Maya finally gets to June and make her realize what she's doing is wrong. And then, oh yeah, I remember what Saul promised June now. Her parents, that he can bring her parents back or whatnot. I mean, he did technically resurrect her. I mean, the first chapter is actually about June's point of view, and then the rest is about Maya. Or it's not even a chapter, I think it's more of a prologue. It's talking about how she's in this peaceful, well, I don't think she was that peaceful, but she was in the afterlife when all of a sudden she felt something different, and then that's when she was resurrected. And at the end of the chapter, it's like someone's like, I have a proposition for you, follow me, blah blah blah. Okay, it's time, June, let's go see your sister. That's what he said. Okay. So yeah, so there were a lot of issues, especially with Belle going rogue, Lake and Rand being in hiding, Maya being missing. No one knows what's going on anymore. Everyone's scared. Everyone's in a panic. You know, and the good sect, don't like Sybil and Cheryl. Sybil was helping the girls a lot, and Cheryl's her assistant. They're part of the good guys, and they don't know who of the sect they can trust anymore. You know, because they thought the sect was still good, but the sect had turned when Blackwell became in charge. So yeah, so it was a mess. But I love the series, obviously. It's a lot of fun, and I'm all for the ship. Maya and Aiden, they're just so... Oops. So, I'm all for the ship. They are so adorable, and they are so, I mean, you know that I don't like pure romance, because I can't do nothing but romance, but if I do love the ship, then I'm all for some romantic moments between the two of them in there. I just can't do pure romance with nothing but their romance. It has to be something else like this series. It's all about the effigies and the fighting and the saving the world. The romance is on a backslider, but they still make sure they put in enough scenes to build up the relationship at the same time. And it's just adorable, and I love it, and it's so cute, and you know, and the ending kind of ended confusing. I was confused at first. I was like, what the heck is going on? In the last chapter I'm talking about. But then you understand what's going on, because you think something happened to Maya. I won't get too into it. And then you think that maybe it's June's point of view, since it was her point of view in the first chapter, but then you find out it's Maya's point of view when she goes to see June, and then she sees Aiden, and it seems to be clear. So yeah. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, Aiden's mom almost died. And they think the effigies tried to kill her because they were being framed. But yeah, so I absolutely love the series, and I highly recommend it to all of you. Please give it a try if you're big on fantasy, because this is an amazing series to do that huge on fantasy, and it's just purely amazing. There's plenty of action scenes, you know, great world building, great characters, a great ship. This is everything you might want in a fantasy book. I'm not even joking. This is everything. So, please give it a try. Please like and subscribe and comment your feelings on this. If you read it, if you like it, if you want to read it. And we'll chat below. So I will see you guys later.